it's Camilla from the Sewing Society, and welcome to episode 2 of the Merry Makers Christmas series. Last week was the first episode and we made some really pretty bows. Today I'm gonna be making this really cute flower tote. It's a really easy make and quick as well, and I just think it's such a lovely way to present flowers. So perfect for a gift, but also really quite practical if you like shopping at the markets to get your flowers. Really handy to carry them in. You can put them over your shoulder and it keeps out of the way of your other shopping, which is good. And also, if you wanted to give flowers, it's just a really nice presentation. It's sort of the gift that you give someone who has everything, you know? There's a free pattern for this as well this week, which I'll leave in the description below. You can adjust the handle to whatever length you like, but in the measurements, I'll put what this handle length is. And you can play around with different trims and different ties if you'd like, or do it all in the same fabric as well. I also thought it could be really nice if it is going to be for a gift. You could maybe put a monogram or something like that. I've put a cute little handmade label on mine. Okay, let's get started. For this project, you'll need a copy of the free pattern. I'll leave a link in the description below. About 80 centimeters of 116 centimeter wide fabric, 90 centimeters of bias binding, which you can either make yourself or buy, and some matching thread. I started making this pattern by using one of the plastic bags that you can get at the supermarket when you buy flowers from there. Yeah, I used that as my starting point and went from there. I decided that I wanted to make it a little bit bigger and a bit longer. Then I made sure it was symmetrical, so I folded it in half and made sure the seams were all matching up, and that it had a nice shape to it. Once I was happy with all that, it was time to cut it out. I'm using a cotton drill, which is quite a nice weight. I decided to line the bag, so I cut out 2 pattern pieces. But if you're using something like a canvas drill or a cotton duck, then a single layer should be fine. Now that we've got all the pieces cut out, we're going to start by making the ties. One tie is a little bit shorter than the other. That tie is the lower tie and the upper tie is longer. Press the ties in half, then fold the 2 outer edges into the center and then fold in half again. Stitch your tie together and repeat for the other tie. Now we're going to stitch the 2 main bag pieces together and then press the seam open. If you're not lining your bag, now is the time to finish off the raw edge of the seam. You can either do it on the overlocker or you could bind the seam as well. turn the main fabric piece right side out and leave the lining inside out. And we're going to put the lining into the main bag and join the side seams up together like this. Pin all the way around the top edge of the bag and the lining, and also the bottom edge. Next, we're going to baste them in place so everything stays in place while we put the binding on. I decided to put the ties on next, and I've got the measurements on the pattern piece, but for reference I measured 14 centimeters from the bottom edge and also the top edge, which is about 5.5 inches. Now take the longer tie and fold it in half, and at that halfway point line it up with the pin for the top tie. And do the same with the lower tie. To sew them in place, I just did a few stitches over the top back and forth so that it was nice and secure. It's really starting to come together now, and we're going to put the binding on next. So I cut out some binding in the main fabric, and I just thought it looked a little bit plain, so I thought I'd go through my stash and see if I had anything a little bit more exciting. And I found this really beautiful Liberty print binding that I had bought on a trip to Melbourne ages ago, so it's really nice to be able to use it now. I started off by pressing my binding in half so that it gave me an edge to line up my bag edges with. I'm just pinning all the way around, and then when I get back to the beginning, fold over a seam allowance of about 1 centimeter and line it up to the seam edge so that it all looks nice and neat. And do the exact same for the top edge. Now's the time to add in a little label to the top edge if you'd like to do that. So cute! I'm so pleased with how it's turning out so far. If you just wanted to use this as a wrapping for a gift of flowers, then you could leave it as it is and not put on a handle. But next up, we're going to attach a strap so that it makes it into a tote. Here I'm just trying it on and seeing what length strap would be good. You can play around and see what you like. You might like a longer one and make it like a crossbody type bag. This length seemed just right, not too long, not too short. So to make the strap, I'm going to start off by turning up each of the shorter ends seam allowance by 1 centimeter. Doing this now just makes it a little bit easier once it's been turned the right side out. With right sides together, fold the strap in half lengthways and then sew down that length. I'm going to sew the strap like a tube and then turn it right side out. I'm using a loop turner to turn out my strap. I find this is the easiest. Now give your strap a really good press. Now to find the position of the straps on the bag, we need to fold the bag in half so that the seam is in the middle, like this, and then put a pin on each fold line, and that will be where to put the strap. I've also marked this on the pattern. Now all that's left to do is to sew the strap in place. And I'm using the box with the cross technique so that it's nice and secure and strong. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I had so much fun making this bouquet tote, and I hope it's something you might consider making as part of your Christmas gift giving this year. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'll see you next week for part 3 in our mindful making in the lead up to Christmas. Thanks so much for watching.